quality of life that is not reflective of the kind of income they have, right? They will create problems for themselves, create problems for their kids, create problems for everybody, even when the money is not there, right? That's a lifestyle. There are also couples that are very extravagant. You know, they will never rest until they have squandered the money that is available, right? Their body temperature will not be normal until, that money that came in, if the money is not reduced to the level they are comfortable with, they will not rest. You know, that is also a lifestyle. And we'll talk more a bit of that. And I can tell you that sometimes the quality of life or how we navigate his whole thing is all around finding a balance. Okay, I hope we enjoy some of those interesting definitions. So when I say lifestyle, I don't need to explain it anymore. When I say income, I don't need to explain it anymore. Now let's look at what we call the wealth equation. I coined this word, so I don't know if you may not see it anywhere, but I'm trying to explain something. We've talked about income and we've talked about expenditure. What you call wealth, something you have left, is simply the difference between income and what? Expenditure. So it means that if I want to create wealth, there are two things I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with what? Income. I'm also dealing with what? Expenses. So if I have a way of increasing my income, I'm likely to have what? More wealth left, right? If I also have a way of reducing my expenditure, at the end of the day, I'm likely to have what? Wealth left. And if I can do the two at the same time, even better, right? So that means that we ultimately create wealth by either maximizing income, minimizing expenditure, or doing both at the same time. So when we talk of income, what constitutes income? Working. The money that comes in because you have salaries, right? The money that comes in because you have a business. That's what will be income. So if you have a particular money coming into the family every month, there's a question of whether it's enough to start with, right? And if it's not enough, the question is, what do you then do to increase that what? Income? Does it mean that probably maybe one of the couples is the only person working? Does it mean the other person needs to also what? Start work? Do you understand? There's no other way. This is what comes into the family. Question is it enough or not? And if it's not enough, what do we need to do? Will you as a man try to look for something else? Maybe during the day you are working, during the night you do Okada or you do Uber or whatever. But the reality is that income is income. Or, like I said earlier, if the wife is not working, will the wife then start working? And then, considering that we are not going that route of your money is our money and my money is my money, right? That statement is not of God, you know. So anytime it pops up in your head, just say, I rebuke you, Satan. That statement is not of God. So that is what we are calling income, sources of income. The second one is receiving gifts. There are people, in addition to their income, there's somebody that sends them money every month. You know, in today's world, where we have a lot of people in Canada, we have a lot of other places. So maybe you have a cousin, you have a sister, you have a brother, that every month they will send you additional money. All right? That will also constitute what you call what? Income. Investments. Maybe the money you've invested before will continue to grow. That will also give you what you call income. Savings. Also possible that the money you've saved, you have a lot of interest on it. That will also give you income. And there are other things. I don't know. There's no way I can be here and exhaust what can be income. Maybe they will say the family land at some point, if people have family land, and they will tell you that, oh, your share, that money is usually not reasonable, right? They'll tell you your share is 140,000. When they share it among 30 people, that's income for that particular month, right? Now, expenditure. What's expenditure? I will say this before, we define needs and we define what? Wants. Taking care of your personal or family wants or family needs for the period is what we create what? Expenditure. The fact you also have to give and give out, will also create what? Expenditure. The question now is, if you look at what you spend and you ask yourself, am I able to sustain this? I remember when I was a bachelor, I could do a whole lot of things. When I started having family responsibility, I had to negotiate on some of the things I was doing so easily before. So the question is, you now keep asking yourself, can I actually take care of this expenditure, right? You are paying school fees of 5 people. One of them has graduated, has started working. Maybe you call the person and say, now that you are working, remember I paid your own. Now, I'm handing this same person over to what? To you. To reduce the expenditure. Taxes and levies, of course, most times there's nothing we can do about these ones. Debts, especially interest-bearing ones. Owing can be a problem, right? There's an English saying that says, he goes a borrowing, goes a sorrowing. Debt sometimes can be a big problem in a family. So the question is, what do you do to reduce your bills? So the pursuit of family finance can simply be reduced by how best couples can manage their what? Expenditure if the income is not growing. There's a lot of noise from that angle. Money problems in marriage. Money problems in marriage. It is reality that couples sometimes struggle with money. It is reality also that some of these problems are avoidable, or some of these problems can be solved a bit more easily. There are a whole lot of them, not by in any way exhaustive, but let's look at some of them. One is when there's a difference, which is normal, right? Differences in background and personalities. Somebody has survived alone for more than 30 years. Somebody has survived alone for more than 20 years. 2 people meet and say that they love each other and they get married, and 2 become 1, and it's not magic, right? Because people have also been used to having some kind of life in a kind of way, including what to do with money and how to manage money, right? You then realize that sometimes couples can be completely at the opposite end of the spectrum. In terms of lifestyle, one person is very extravagant, and that person is very modest. Modest to the point that it's almost a sin, because before you before you take anything from that person's hand, it's a problem. Another difference can be in terms of work ethics. You know, one person is very hardworking. The person will always look for extra things to do to earn income. The other person is lazy. The other person doesn't care at all. You know, like, what are we stressing ourselves for in this life, right? Then another one could be financial status. There are people that come from very wealthy homes. You know, they are probably used to some kind of spending habits. There are people who have come from homes that are quite poor. Every kobo matters. You will see that those couples may not be on the same page. There are people that believe that you save everything. There are people that believe that tomorrow will take care of itself. There are people that don't want to borrow. There are people that believe that there's nothing wrong with borrowing. So these differences in background, differences in personalities, will create problems normally for couples, right? I'm talking about the problems, not necessarily the solutions. We come later on. Second one is coping with extended family. What God has joined together, let no man put asunder, does not take out the need. You have a mother, you have a father, you get married, you are the one supporting them. They won't disappear. You have to continue to support them. And the problem now is that sometimes it becomes difficult for both couples to be on the same page as regards how to what? Take care of other family members, families of the origin. And that can create a lot of tension. Okay? One spouse is ready to write a check to the brother who wants to go to the university. And the wife is reminding him that this is your brother that you're always spending money for. Have you paid our own children's school fees? It's a regular thing. And it's normal, right? So there are a lot of scenarios. Your brother wants to start a family, especially for new couples. Sometimes they underestimate the enormity, and they are shocked to realize how expensive it is to actually take care of kids. You know, and these things may surprise them along the line. And it can become an area of conflict because couples are not able to settle or agree on a number of things. Number of kids they need to have, kind of schools they will attend, kind of clothes they will wear, and all of that can be a problem. A bigger problem is not just the cost of taking care of the kids, the time to take care of the kids. You know, maybe somebody will need to stop working, maybe someone will need to reduce the hours they need to work. That can potentially create what? A lot of problem and changes the whole dynamics in the running of homes. The other one is what we call power play, where we may pretend all we can that this doesn't happen in Christian families, but I can tell you that we are talking of human beings. The power play is that it is not uncommon for couples to have problem around, after all, I'm the one making the money. So why won't I decide how the money will be what? Will be spent, right? Especially when one partner has a job, the other person is fully dependent. Maybe one partner earns considerably higher than the other, and then you want to say, after all, I'm the one suffering out there in making the money, right? But you don't even know that what is happening at home is also what? Suffering. When one partner comes from a wealthy family, and it's that wealthy family that is supporting them, right? Maybe usually when I want to talk about sisters, I'm careful. Maybe it's the sister's family that is wealthy, and every month they send money to support the family, and naturally, as a man, you may struggle to actually decide how that money will be spent, because money is coming from our family, right? It could also be the other way around. Then another situation is when one partner has money and is the crew of my money is my money, and the partner is not ready to bring out the money, right? And sometimes it's actually the men. They have money and they are stingy. Because they are stingy, the woman knows that the money is there. The woman doesn't understand why they will be suffering when the money is there. These are potential areas of conflict. Now, let's go to the crux of this matter, which is the managing the family finance. And I hope that we'll remember what we've said so far, because we are applying them as we move on. One week and a day, 2 Saturdays ago, I've been away from my house for a while. And when I came back, my kids, like they do most times, bullied me into taking them to the supermarket near my house. We walked, we did not drive. So when we were coming back, my twin boy was telling me what transpired between himself and his sister. You know, and I didn't even notice because I was with them. He told me that, Daddy, do you know that when we are trying to pay for what you bought, you will scan your items one after the other. He said that Kobe stretched out her hands for the scanning machine to scan her hand, you know, and then Kobe was then telling me, did you notice that when I put my hand on the scanning machine that it did not show any price? That is because I'm priceless. And that is actually the fact, right? Family is priceless. So the first tip I have there is that you need to value relationships over what? Things. You need to value the family unity. You need to value the family happiness. You need to value peace in the family over what? Any amount of money. So when couples put the unity, comfort, and needs of the family above the value they place on money, disagreements over money are easier to resolve, right? And if couples at any point in time they are thinking of the welfare of the other person more than themselves, it becomes easier, like the Bible says in Romans 12:1, it becomes easier to solve money problems. Recognizing that life is more important than possessions, and a marital love peace should be ranked above material wealth. Luke 12:15, it becomes easier to manage money. As a matter of fact, there are people that have made some decisions about money that later on, you know, you made some decisions because the money wasn't there. Later on in life, you have a lot of this money and you look back and you have a lot of regrets. Money is a thing. Yeah, we say money is so important, but at the end of the day, money is what? A thing. A thing can never take the place of a human being, right? So let us be careful how we make decisions and how we actually destroy relationships over a paper. Let us be very careful. So that is what I need to say at this point, and I studied it as number one. There are spouses that grow to resent each other because of the way one party treated the other party when that person was fully dependent. Let's be careful when it comes to what to do with money, especially in families. The second tip is to establish good communication. This is mostly the problem of men. We have our male ego. Most times the man will prefer, let the woman think that the money is there, just I don't want to spend. But the reality is that, bros, you are broke. There's no money, right? So when we cannot, at the deepest level of marriage, which is the deepest level of communication, which is the deepest level you can actually have a relationship, you're not able to tell your wife that you are having a money problem, or that for some reasons, even if you mismanage the funds, that the fund is not there, is a big problem. So when couples have learned how to establish good communication in marriage, that is one of the easiest way to solve the problems of money. Because partners sometimes make assumptions that are not correct. The wife will be there thinking that the money is there, but the reality is that the money is not there. Establishing good communication is a good tip in managing family finance. Tip number 3 says, and that's the text we read in Philippians 4:12. It says, be faithful and content in little. Be faithful and content in little. I'm sure all of us sitting down here, we know of loving, wonderful families that have little, but they are happy. I'm sure we also know that families that have a whole lot of wealth and are living in hostility. We know these examples. So money is not always determinant, right? But if couples are able to learn how to be faithful and content in little, this time we can only manage with one room. A time we come, we'll move to a flat. A time we come, we'll move to a duplex. A time we come, we'll move to a mansion. There's no limit to what kind of comfort you can create for your family the moment you can afford it. I'm a believer of that. That Christians can actually make wealth and enjoy wealth. There's nothing wrong with that. But so being content and faithful in little does not mean not being ambitious. It means that this is the current reality. We need to survive in this current reality while we hope to make the situation of the family better. That should be the motto of every Christian. Number 4 talks about creating a comprehensive budget. And I can tell you, this is most of the problem we have. In my secondary school, then I remember, SS1, SS2, we are taught the characteristics of money. I can tell you that I did not remember that one of the characteristics of money is disappearance. I did not remember. I don't know, depending on your own school. So when many people say, I had 100,000, I did not know how the money just disappeared. It is not true. Money doesn't have legs. Money does not what? Disappear. The problem we have most times is that we are not able to track, we are not able to manage, we are not able to, account for our money. This is almost because we don't have what? Budget. I can tell you from here, from the pulpit, I remember running comprehensively a budget for more than close to 10 years, every month, because the money wasn't enough. It's still not enough, right? I will always, before I even spend, I already know what I'm going to spend. I know when my nephew wanted to write his ICAN exam, he told me that it was 80,000. I said, okay, you get the money at the end of the month. Later on, he came back to say that he miscalculated, that it was 110,000. I said, come. I opened my laptop. I said, did you see that when you told me 80,000, I already wrote it here as part of what I'm going to spend? You were looking at, this man, this small thing, you already have it in your Excel, all right? And that is the truth. If you are not able to in advance, people like me don't get surprises. I don't get surprises. The money I have is usually the salary that comes. People don't dash me money, So I already know that this is what I'm going to get at the end of the month. So I know that this one is fixed. There's an extent of what I can take care of in terms of what? Expenditure. When I've listed all of that, luckily, for most people, it's allowance to this person, allowance to that person. I don't need to start calculating, okay, what will be the cost of rent. So when you've done all of that, you know that the only money you have left for this month is what? 100,000. So you cannot make promise to give someone 120,000. Where will that what come from? So people are successful with money usually when they live on budgets. A budget is a monthly plan that will tell you how you are going to spend your money And when the month goes by, you have the ability to track if you are still within what? With budget. Proverbs 21:5 says, good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcut lead to poverty. If you don't tell your money where to go, then you wonder where it went. That's when we say the money has what? Disappeared. So budget is how you make sure that you don't spend more than what you make. You don't go and spend all your money halfway of the month, wondering what to do the rest of the month. And you also don't spend all your money, the money you're supposed to use to pay for Band A electricity. You now spend it in Mr. Beef, or the money you use for your kids' school fees, you then go and spend it on charity. That is not financial discipline, which is the next point, right? Next one is to exercise financial discipline. We talk about wants. It is important to control our wants. Proverbs 27:20 says, death and destruction are never satisfied, neither are the eyes of man. That's why the law of economy says that what? Human wants are insatiable. Right? If you solve this, you are going to, you always need things, you always want things as human beings. And if you don't give that discipline, know the things you should do and the things you should not do, you run into problem. So I agree that people should enjoy life. I agree that wants can be satisfied, but it has to be within the limits of what? Your income. I used to have a driver 10 years ago, very interesting man, always very happy. His name is Boniface, very interesting. You know, I remember I was paying him 35,000 every month. This man is always happy. I'll be asking him, you know, because in my mind, he has a family, he has 2 kids. Most of the times, I'll give him extra money, 3,000 here, 5,000 here. I'll be asking, is there any other place you're getting money? He said, no, now, that is, I said, is this money enough? He said, it's more than enough. I'm like, okay, so tell me now, how do you do it? He said, orgami. That's how you say orgami. He said that, see, the way the kind of food we eat is not the way people do it. In my house, once we cook soup, that first night everybody will eat fish and enjoy. Then the rest of the night they will know that they ate fish the other day, so they will have to manage, right? Financial discipline. So it's not that you cannot enjoy, but you have to enjoy within your limits. Save for important projects and the rainy day. Rainy day will come. There are things that are not emergency. You know? There are things that are not emergency. If your wife is pregnant, it means that in 9 months, she's going to what? Deliver. That means more than 9 months, but that's another topic, right? It's going to deliver. So, you cannot say that, and the wife delivered, and you're running around. It's not an emergency. Are you saying that you're not expecting her, somebody who is pregnant, to eventually what? Deliver. I know that September, schools will resume. I know that my last kids will enter secondary school. I also know that the money I used to pay before will be different, right? Whether we like it or not, if we come, you are not going to wish it away. So you have to plan and save towards all of this. Sometimes there will be retirement. You have to plan. That's what we call rainy day. Jobs can disappear. You have to plan towards rainy day. I know that sometimes it's not easy to plan and save, but reality is that this is what you have to do. And the way to do that is usually that you save before you start spending. You know, depending on what works for you. My kids, like I said, my last will be 10 next month. So I've started running kids account for the last 10 months. For the last 10 years minimum. Because I know I opened an account. If you go to their account, there's no money there. Because after saving it, me on my own, I will still what? Spend it. Right? Now me put the money, so I'll spend it. So I know that that does not work for me. But there are people who have opened accounts with ARM and all of that. You can't easily go there. When I started having money, when I started having savings that I'm happy with, was when I started doing cooperative. You know, every month, without me, they take something from my salary. And for years now, I know that there's something there because it continues to what? Build. Even when I go there to borrow money, I know that I borrowed money from them. I will still pay them back. I didn't have to tell them it's my money after all. Except they want to end the cooperative. So cooperative works for me. I don't know what works for you. But we have to save for important things, and we also have to save for the rainy day. The last one says, be diligent to create wealth. I want to say this a bit carefully. I want to say this without offending anyone. But most times we don't do enough. Right? Most times we don't have enough because what? We've not done enough. I also know, as a person, I keep thinking that, I know I've not done enough, right? It's all about how much of your potential are you able to use to create wealth? How many things can you do? To what extent are you willing to go? Proverbs 22:29 says, have you seen a man who is diligent in his work? He's going to stand before kings, he will not stand before unknown men and all of that. So most times we are not having because we are not what? Pushing hard enough. What exactly have you done to address your money problems? To what extent have you gone? You know? And that also includes our sisters, right? No wife has a business to sit down and answer, even though I don't even hear that word they're doing. In Igbo language before. In Igbo land, they will ask you, it simply means, what of that person that is enjoying your wealth? I've not heard it in a long time. Because it looks like the Aku has even disappeared, right? Everybody is hustling. We are in a situation where everybody has to hustle. Nobody answers Oriaku anymore. So no wife has the right to sit down and answer Oriaku when the money for the family is not even worth enough. So be diligent to create wealth. And I will conclude. Thanks to the sisters, last month they hosted us here and they told us it was Father's Day, They are still basking in that euphoria, I also want to use this opportunity to say, when I got home, my family also continued. I didn't know they had a plan, and all of that. Everybody knew apart from me, because my kids wrote some, papers. When it's my birthday, they give me a lot of papers, and tell me it's my birthday gift. So that same day, they also wrote a lot of papers, One of them that caught my attention was signed by my two daughters, Kobe and Kaima. They told me how I'm such a wonderful father, and they signed it, and they said, from your financial burdens. I don't know where they got that from. They were happy that they are what? Financial burdens. And I told them they are very beautiful financial burdens, that I'm happy to carry that burden, right? And I want to say again that amid the hustle and bustle of life, finding solace in the family's progress and unity can be a true comfort, And irrespective of how this journey of managing and making money becomes, also remember that because you are doing it for family, then it is worth it. But I also want to say again that the challenges sometimes to manage our financial needs within the family, not because we don't really have enough, but because we're not able to take care of it. The solution is not usually more money. If you cannot account for little, you struggle to account for what? More. The problem most times is being able to to manage. So let's make managing the family finance a priority. And when we are doing that, be contented, be happy, be ambitious to continually increase the fortune of the family. And may the good Lord bless us when we do this in Jesus' name.
Amen. Good morning once again, brethren. Please join me in thanking Brother Chinedu Onyekwelu for his wonderful teaching. Well delivered. His topic was family finances. It is derived from our ongoing series, building strong relationship in marriage and healthy family life. Very interesting and motivational. Well, thank you once again. This is information. If there's any area you need more clarification from him in the course of his teaching, or you want to ask him a question, he's ready to answer you. But please, your question should be strictly from today's lesson. We have only 15 minutes for question and answers. Okay. Let me start from the. Let me start from here. Sorry. Let me start from the first row. Any question from this row? Okay. How about this row? Okay. Take your number. Number 1. Okay. Number 2. 3 and 4. Before I take your question, we have 2 questions from online. We are live on YouTube. So we have 2 questions. Brother Chinedu, we take these 2 questions first. The first one is, does being conservative Does being conservative with finance mean one has a poverty mentality? Number 2, do you need to spend money for more money to come? For more money to come in? That is my question.
Okay, okay, I think the questions are clear enough. You know, I use the word balance at some point, but the problem with the word balance is different people will try to strike what they consider was balance. I said there are two extremes. There are people who are simply stingy, right? We say akago. There are people who you almost need to break their hand to take anything from that hand. There are people who continue to create wealth. The only thing that makes them happy is that the money in their bank is growing. They create problems for themselves, they create problems for their spouses, they create problems for their kids, they live quality of life that is not befitting the kind of income they get. That is not being conservative, right? You will end up doing different things, creating more harm than good. Your kids may revolt one day. Your kids may decide to do a different thing. There's something I do. You know, even though it's a long time I did it, I would take my kids to a cheap supermarket. I'll tell them, please, take anything you want. You know, I already know that what can they possibly take. They will say, just take anything you want. You know, I've done that so many times. And what I notice is that somebody will be taking, the other person will say, and they will the other time, what, especially my son, what exactly do you need this for? And all of that. But the history is that they will remember that their father has many times told them, go and take anything you want. So when you hear this from one man, to say, I could buy you the world. I'm the first person that has said it. Alright? And that's the lifestyle I'm talking about. So you will be conservative to the point where you create problems. Your wife will revolt, you know, or your wife will resent you. Sometimes she will get her own money and she will not forget. So if you say on the other side of the spectrum is when you are also spending. There are people that squander money without thinking of tomorrow. You know? So it has to be a balance. And I don't know where that balance is. That balance has to be defined by individuals depending on what they get. But no matter how bad it is, some days when you go downstairs there after church, buy your kids 200 naira ice cream, even if it's once in a year, right? That memory will see the goods. You don't say, oh, that 200 naira, if you add another 200 naira, we'll buy a bag of pure water. Pure water is not the same thing as ice cream. They don't serve the same purpose, right? So that is something we can create within our own time. The other one says, do you need to spend money to make money? It depends on what you do, right? There are some people are in the business of making image. There are places that you cannot even cross the gates if you don't drive a kind of car. There are places that they won't even allow you if they don't think that you can handle that kind of business. There are some kind of contracts you will never get. If the people giving the contract don't think that you are hungry, you can run away from it. So there are people who need to spend money to actually make money, right? But that does not apply to everyone. There are people who just squander their money, not because they want to make money. Then you see, it's when I go to the joints, that's where I meet people who will be connected, who are connected. It may not be exactly true, just because that you're a drunk, right? So it depends on exactly what we mean by making money, using money to create more money. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, question number 1. Asha, please go ahead.
Yeah, when I was here doing my business, there was one family that I always supplied them gas, and the husband told me the other day that the wife is not doing what I expected him to do. That he has already opened a business for him. Everything they have shared. The wife will be taking charge of food item, gas and other things. But he himself will be in charge of paying school fees and other bills. But each time, the wife has shifted everything to him. And in this case, what I said, I cannot able to advise you what to do, but he says he will stop doing anything. And I tell you, that marriage has got broken because of that he will not do. And the wife said he will not stop doing what he wants. So everything was just scattered because of that. He shipped everything to the man, and the man said he will not do what they have agreed. So as a Christian, what on that situation, what can a Christian do?
Okay. All right. Before the mic comes up, if you can hear me, I think my voice is loud. Okay. Why this question looks like that the people in question are difficult people? I can tell you that this is a very common problem, money problem in marriage, and I mentioned that. Unfortunately, it is not a one-size-fits-all. What I mean is that there's no one solution that can address every problem, But I think that the important thing is, one, almost everything we mention applies. I said value relationships over what? Over money. If because I'm going to have a bad marriage just because we are arguing he's going to buy gas and all that, and when the marriage breaks and people will ask you what caused, you say it's the gas money that broke your marriage. It's a bit funny, right? See, I have a colleague in the office. I don't know what, she wasn't even talking to me, but she said that when she earns her salary, she gives the salary to her husband because the husband is the head of something like that. I can just imagine myself to tell my wife every month, which I money have, hand over to me, The first thing we'll do is that we'll know that I'm coming to meet Ben's son and his committee, right? That cannot work for me, right? There are people who run a shared bank account. That's the only account they have. When the husband earns, you put there, the wife earns, you put there, and they start discussing how you manage money. I also know that cannot work for me. I'll be frustrated if I have to explain to you every single money I want to spend. Right? So, you see, that I'm trying to tell you that not one thing works. But if you're not asking me who I'm going to blame in this case, I will blame the man. We don't know how much he used in starting the business to start with. The man also should be in charge of his home. I'm sorry I'm giving a long explanation today. When the HR people design a job, they're what they call racing matrix. Somebody is responsible, somebody is accountable, somebody is informed, somebody is controlled and all of consulted and all of that. But a man is actually ultimately accountable. If God is going to ask anybody a question, he's going to ask the man. Right? What if that woman cannot run a business? What if the money in the first place was not enough? What has he even mentioned? He said that I have shared because I started money for you. You are not bringing gas money. No, come on. It's not, I don't think it's okay. In as much as I don't know the perfect solution, but the man should go and sort out the problem of his family. Thank you.
Okay, number 2.
Brother Chinedu, thank you very much. My question is in the area of debt, borrowing money. I would have loved you to dwell more on it. Once upon a time, as far back as in 1983, when I had my first child. We were living in Akure with my husband. My husband, when we bought my baby's things, I bought them in advance. I actually did not know that my husband did not pay for them. I had the baby months later. The woman kept a dangerous thing. I tried staying away from it. But these days, you will agree with me that a lot of people borrow money without knowing how to.
Maybe we can make this a topic at some point. But I did mention that there's an English expression that says, he who goes a borrowing goes a sorrowing. Avoid it. The second point, avoid it. The second point is where they have to pay interest. It's not just interest on the loans, compound interest. What I mean by that is microfinance, right? There are people that have all those loan sharks and all that, put themselves in situations that somebody can be driven to suicide. So I think the way to do that, the Bible says that in fact we should not owe anybody. That what we owe people is just good behavior. People sometimes intentionally borrow money they know they are not going to pay, especially when they're borrowing it from brethren, right? They just know that they're not going to pay this money. For when you're borrowing it, you already know that you are not paying. I own a credit card, and after a while I realized that I didn't need a credit card because many years ago I stopped it because at any point in time I can get up to 1.5 million naira. That is not my money, you know. So any small thing I've used my credit card, then I'll spend months trying to pay it back. I stopped it. I say and some of those things I was in the credit card we are owing. And like I said earlier, is a full-blown topic. You can almost spend the 100, but before you go into debt, ask yourself, is it absolutely necessary? Am I borrowing for the right person? Do I have a plan to pay? Can I even pay, right? Or can I go and get someone who can pay on my behalf and all of that? But please don't commit suicide, okay? Yeah. But Sister Sarah, I don't know if this is good enough, so thank you.
Okay, I have two questions.
Please, can we take the one in this hall first? Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Question I want to ask, based on some of the statements you made, that if you don't have money, you should let your spouse know that you don't have money, or that if you have money, you should also let them know that you have money. Something like that. I don't know, because also the scenario you also said that somebody, when you know that kind of person, you also need to let the person know.
No, say it again.
You said that there are some people that when they know that you have money, it's other money you are going to spend it finish. That you know. So to that kind of person, it will be wise for you to let the person know that money, there will be a chaos in the house or I don't know how you understand. Yep. So I want you to, because that is not here or there. You need to study the situation to be able to know what method that works for you or the rest. I just want you to make a few comments. Then another one is that if somebody, will it also be right for somebody to be comparing his husband with another husband? Say, this person, the husband buys a car for her, when you do this, when you do that. What have you, this and that? All those things. I also want you to comment. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'll answer the question without considering that they were asked by Brother Ajibade, you know. I will just be neutral, you know. Ajibade, so don't worry, your past sins will not be used against you. The second one is easier. I said it before that we should actually live within our means. We should be contented with what we have. You know, Sister Sarah was telling you how she gave birth and money was borrowed, you know. And now Sister Sarah has excess money right now. That if you can see that woman that slapped you that time, can you decide to lock the person up if you want, right? So sometimes, like I said, there are things that will happen in the course of this life journey. You will smile. You will like, it means that I actually went through this. So what typically happens to people is that when they don't have hope that tomorrow will get better, and I can tell you that tomorrow actually gets better. You know, the fact that you are in one particular position today does not mean that you'll be in that position forever. And that's the story of many people. And God will do that for all of us, right? God talks about restoration. He said, in fact, the days, the years have been eaten by the locusts. I don't want to go into a lot of sermon. But if you are really Christians, it means that we'll be forward-looking. We'll hope that so I think that's a crime, really. Because you don't know what you are doing to start with. You don't know what that happened before then. Those are things we don't know, so we can't even compare. Then coming back to what you say, one thing that remains is that couples should manage. There's no one solution. But I honestly think that we run away from some problems, and those problems continue to haunt us the rest of our lives. There are problems you need to confront them and put them to bed. I do not know why a husband cannot tell the wife when he has money. He was so worried. He said, you mean all your money has finished? I have to start, with the worry on his face, I have to start explaining to him, I don't have money. I said, let me not go and give this small boy have blood pressure, right? So there are some certain things you will be creating in a family. It becomes unnecessary tension. Instead of saying, I don't know how we are going to survive, the money has finished and all of that, creating panic. Is it not okay to say the money is not here, but we believe God, we are doing this, we are doing that? Sound positive to start with and create some kind of, if you are the one panicking, what would the rest of the family members do? So it is a balancing act. There's no particular formula, but I actually believe in being very upfront with your spouse. Whether that news is okay or not. You should be upfront with your spouse. Tell them what the exact situation is. That's what I believe. Okay, there's one there before. Yeah.
Okay. Ushers. Anything in mind?
To take care of the family, and she mentioned it. And she also came to know how much you owe them. Sometimes you tell your wife, you don't have this money. You should keep on mentioning to her, I don't have this money now. She will keep on asking you, give me this money. What do you do in that situation?
Okay, I'm trying to answer this without getting into trouble myself, right? I think there's something that is very... Okay. Now, the sisters in this church have bullied me so much that I'm usually very careful. But there's something that is very common to women and children. I dare say that because I've heard that so many times. I will tell my daughter, because we don't have money right now, this may not happen. Like, Daddy, okay, no problem. Then, next tomorrow, you say, Daddy, I want to. Women do that a lot too, right? You tell your wife you don't have money, she will understand and pity for you, then she will forget. So forgive them when they forget, right? When you, as a wife, you expect your husband to be, what's the word now? You ask your husband to be a odogu, right? Odogu should not be afraid of anything, right? So when you need to chest anything that comes your way, right? That's the view. So even though you have said you don't have money, and she understands with you, she will still forget. It's not that she's being insensitive. So if you speak to a lot of people, it's a common thing. So don't worry about it. And the next time you're not saying you don't have money, you don't need to say, but I told you that. Calm down. It's even a crime that you don't have money and you're also quarreling on top of it, right? So the Bible says that a soft answer turneth away what? Wrath. You are supposed to have money. You don't have it. So calm down, right? And say it with a good voice. So that I can tell you is very common. My wife does it to me many times. So it's not, yeah. Robert needs to be radio in case you need to come to me. So it's not an uncommon thing. Now, talking about your first question. Sorry, I'm trying to. Salary. See, if it's not broken, you agree on an allowance and then everybody is happy. Do you need to necessarily start rocking the boat, right? But it's a different thing that your wife said, oh, so I don't get unnecessarily demanding or the benefit of peace. Let's not discuss that thing now, right? You can't give a wrong figure or whatever you can. So, okay, let me give you an idea and all of that. So that's what I can say. But why will your wife, you won't be bent on, I really want to know how much you're earning, if there's no problem in the first place. So that I would tell you, right? I know at some points, a couple of years ago, I've showed my wife even my pay slip, and not asked me, and I know she will not ask me again for a while, so hopefully. So that is what I would say on that one. So if it becomes necessary, why not? But is it necessary really? Important thing is that you're able to, well, but if my wife asks me, I was okay, let's sit down, let's also analyze.
Thank you, sir, for the lesson. I do little business, which my husband did not establish for me. But since I go out every day, he now leave all the family problems for me.
So there's a difference when I use the word that even a lion gets wounded, right? There's a difference when the man is down, things are not okay, and all that. But a man should not ever get used to the fact that the wife is taking care of the family. No man should get used to that. He can say, oh, this is a temporary setback, but what are you doing to try to now get back on your feet? It's not something any man should get used to. That kind of man should be reported to marriage committee or guidance and counseling for counseling, right? I don't think it's acceptable. It's even worse when it's not that the man does not have. The man wants the wife to become sufferheads, right? He wants the burden to be on the poor woman while he probably does whatever he wants with his money. First of all, that man is sinning. Secondly, that man is not a Christian. Thirdly, that man is people who don't have anything to do with Christianity understand that they have a responsibility and they shadow it. So when you don't, it can be described as being irresponsible. Except there's really a good reason why a man temporarily cannot contribute or shoulder the responsibility of his family. Thankfully, they are not here, so they have to accept this response to the question. That's all. Yes. So thanks so much, brethren. We will continue to learn and we pray that the good Lord will actually empower us, bless the works of our hands. Sometimes the main issue is that this money is not even there, right? Bless the work of our hands and let money, gas money, not be a problem. We will not start having problem in our, will not be a reason we start having problem in our homes in Jesus' name.